Warning, the following video is not intended for children. It is only for adults only, so keep your kids off my YouTube channel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Horror Freaks, episode 3. So I'm pretty sure you know how things go by now. I have a guest, we talk horror, and a few other things in between, so let's get this show on the road.
Today's special guest will be Jacob Anders from Jacob Anders Reviews.
Crypt Keeper, you're the host with the most. The most rotting flesh, that is.
Question 1. What is your favorite horror movie franchise to review?
What is my favorite horror franchise to review? Well, while I have reviewed some horror movies, I can't say that I've reviewed a whole entire franchise yet, though I do plan on doing it. I'm a big fan of a lot of horror franchises, but if I had to only pick one that I think would be the most entertaining for me to review, that would easily be the Evil Dead series. Granted, the Evil Dead series doesn't have nearly as many entries as some of the long-standing horror franchises out there. Compared to franchises out there like A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, or the Halloween series, the amount of movies that the Evil Dead series has in it is relatively small. However, what it does have is consistency in its quality. Compared to all those other horror franchises, the one thing you cannot deny about the Evil Dead franchise is that it has no bad entry. There may be some that you like more than others, and there may be some that you like less than the others. But I don't think any of us can deny the fact that there hasn't really been a bad entry in that series today. And yes, I am including the TV show Ash vs. Evil Dead. You shut your mouth, that's a fucking awesome show. So beyond the fact that this series is just consistently good, why would I rather rate this series over some of the long-standing horror series out there? Variety, that's why. Evil Dead is the one horror series out there that every single entry is totally different from the last. They're still connected and part of the same universe, but each entry is different in tone than the last.
Question 2. Which recent horror movie did you regret watching?
I'm gonna give you two answers here, because one is a movie that probably nobody's heard of, and the other one is one that pretty much everybody's probably heard of. The most recent horror-esque movie I've watched that I regret watching would be Lake Artifact. Now I know most of you probably haven't heard of this movie, and there's a reason for that, but just stay with me. What irritated me the most about this movie is that it had a pretty cool setup and a neat premise. While it was low budget, they set up an interesting world, and they started to set up a compelling story. They started. Because if you make it about a third of the way into this movie, because it's pretty fucking boring up to that point, they take these rules that they've set up for this world and just throw them out the window and say, fuck it. One would assume that they do this in order to move the story forward for plot convenience. But no, it actually just fucks the plot up even more, so I really don't know why they did this. The other horror movie that I regret watching in recent memory is a little bit older, but not that old. And that would be Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Now, I don't care what anybody says. I like the Resident Evil movies. Some are better than others, and I would never claim that this series is like a masterpiece or anything. It is, however, good check your brain at the door fun. It's my guilty pleasure. So even though everybody's talked shit about these movies for years, I've enjoyed all of them to varying degrees over the years. And I was looking forward to the final chapter because in the previous movie they set up a pretty cool arc. Now beyond the fact that in the beginning of the final chapter they pretty much just glaze over the thing we all wanted to see from the end of the last movie, my biggest issue with this movie is not the story or the actors or any of that stuff that you would typically have issue with in a movie. No, it's the way this piece of shit is shot. Now I can appreciate a well-shot movie, and I can see when a movie's not shot well. Though in most cases, while I can see it, it doesn't really bother me if a movie's not shot that great. I can see past it and have a good time with a movie even if it's not shot that great. But Resident Evil: The Final Chapter is probably the worst shot movie I have ever seen in my fucking life. When it's not so fucking dark that you can't see what the hell's going on screen, the camera is shaking all over the place to where you can't see what the fuck is going on screen. And it's from like beginning to end. I mean, it's like real bad. It's so bad that there were parts in this movie where I guess action was going on. There's just a bunch of shit going on screen and characters died. I knew someone died because I saw some blood and arms and shit like that, but then I didn't know who the fuck died. Until the next scene, I would just have to take inventory of who was there and who wasn't. And whoever wasn't, I'm like, oh, okay, that's the one who died.
Pick one of these horror icons to defend you. The rest will attack you. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Leatherface, and Pinhead.
Well, this one's easy for me. Freddy Krueger. Apart from being my personal favorite horror movie franchise character, in my professional opinion, Freddy Krueger is the one that has a leg up over all these other guys. Mainly because Freddy's world is in dreams. And within that world, he controls everything. He can form that world any way he wants in order to achieve his goals. I think this gives him a definite leg up above the competition. Now this is assuming that we're dealing with traditional Freddy Krueger within a dream world. Because if not, I mean, who the fuck picks the burn-up guy with knives on his hands? But assuming this is Dream World Freddy, I definitely go with him. I mean, let's look at the competition here. Leatherface, while a brute, has never really been shown to be supernatural. So Freddy would pretty much be able to dispatch of him fairly easily, I think. Michael Myers, on the other hand, he has shown some supernatural attributes. But as a whole, he is still part of this world. He could take a beating like no other, but I feel like Freddy within the dream world would be able to hold him at bay at least. And then there's Jason Voorhees. I mean, we've seen this one, there's a movie about it. And assuming we don't do some contrived shit where Freddy gets pulled out of the dream world, he would, just like in the movie, whoop Jason's ass. Much like Michael Myers, while he may not be able to dispatch of him, I feel like he would be able to incapacitate him long enough. But then there's the wild card, and that's Pinhead. See, Pinhead is absolutely supernatural. Like, this motherfucker's straight up from hell. And Pinhead can do some fucked up shit. And even within Freddy's dream world, I feel like he would be able to probably stand toe-to-toe against Freddy due to his supernatural abilities. However, Pinhead typically only messes with people that fuck around with his box. So that's an easy win right there. I would just tell my contender, Freddy, stay the fuck away from the box. And we win against Pinhead before it even starts. So Pinhead would give no shits about us because we're not messing with his box. Leatherface would be fairly easy to dispatch because he's more or less mortal, and he would be able to keep Jason and Michael Myers at bay long enough for me to escape. So overall, I would feel like I was defended pretty well by Fred Krueger. I mean, afterwards he might want to kill me or touch me inappropriately, but you know, I guess that's the risk we run with any of them.
Is there anything you would like to advertise? Do you have any upcoming projects you would like to share with us?
Thanks for listening to me ramble on about horror stuff. You can find more of my views on movies, horror and otherwise, on my channel, Jacob Anders Reviews. You can also follow me on Twitter at RedNeville2 to hear about everything from movie reviews and upcoming projects to Death Star ice cubes. Yeah, it's a thing. I tweeted about Death Star ice cubes. I'm always looking for some fun collaborations, so if any of you out there have a channel and you're looking for somebody to collaborate with, give me a ring. I also have an ongoing series on my channel of video game movie reviews. This is where I'm reviewing every single majorly released video game movie ever made. I'm doing it in order of release date, and currently I'm up to 2005's Doom. I took a little break from this recently, but I'm now getting back into the swing of this series. And hopefully, by the end of the year, I can have it completed. Hopefully. We'll see. So that's me. If you want more, check out my channel. And thanks to Strange Monkey for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this awesome experience. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.
Die down here.
Evil is rising.
There's no way I'm going down there.
Terror is spreading, and our chance for survival is running out. Resident Evil. Rated R.
And now, a moment with Noodles.
If I had the magic movie ticket from Last Action Hero, I would use it to fix several situations in horror movies. For example, I would get the Ghostbusters to jump into Paranormal Activity and take care of business. End of story.
And that was a moment with Noodles. Thank you very much for watching Horror Freaks. Be sure to subscribe and click on that notification bell. We will be back same time next week, Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Don't miss out.